We affirm today about discrimination from the book Affirmations for Self-Healing by Swami Kriyananda. First, I'll read about what is discrimination, what Swami Kriyananda says about discrimination. Swami Kriyananda says, as science judges the relative speed of any object by one constant, the speed of light, so the devotee judges the relative merit of any idea by one constant, God. Discrimination is clear only when it relates everything to the eternal absolute. Thus, while the intelligence may toy with ideas endlessly, discrimination asks, is this wisdom? Is it of God? True discrimination is not even the product of reasoning. It is sole intuition. Reasoning, even from the highest point of reference, is uncertain compared to the inspirations of superconsciousness. To discriminate clearly, meditate first. Ask God to guide your understanding. Now, this is a very tricky aspect, the discrimination, because many times our intellect, our mind, will justify the decisions we make. And many times, more often than not, we will think that we are taking the right decision based on the facts available. But usually or sometimes it might not be the right decision, and we will realize it later on. But at the time of taking the decision, it might seem very right. Why is this happening to us? Because our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions are controlled by our subconscious mind. The subconscious mind has our tendencies, the blueprint of the way we think, the way we function, or who we are right now. And superconscious mind denotes the potential, our potential, who we can be. We can be one with God and our true nature. And the conscious mind is the battleground where we constantly have to choose between what is our tendency and what's our potential. Now, there are few stories which can explain how discrimination works. Now, there is a Paramhansa Yogananda says that in a talk he mentions about the Sabbath. So he says the day when man offers an entire day for God is Sabbath, and usually people don't work on that day because it's the day of God, and a lot of them take off. At the same time, if somebody is ailing, or if a person is really in need of treatment on that day, a doctor cannot say that today is my Sabbath and I will not work. Because God will say, what's wrong with you? I am dying in that person's body. You should help him. I know you're offering prayers and offering the day in the remembrance of me, but that doesn't mean that you should be idle. You should serve them. So a lot of spiritual truths might seem contradictory. For example, there is ahimsa, where we should not we shouldn't harm any creatures or any living beings intentionally. At the same time, it is also said that if a snake comes to bite you, you shouldn't say that, oh, I'm going to follow ahimsa, I will not kill the snake. You should actually kill the snake if need be, if it is persistent in attacking you. What Patanjali actually mentioned was the intention of killing should not be there. The intention of harming should not be there. So the discrimination must be applied in every spiritual values we follow. And how can we know what is the right thing to do? How can we discriminate the facts? Now, again, killing is very harmful. Killing is not advocated spiritually. But when Paramhansa Yogananda was born as William the Conqueror, he was a self-realized soul even then, but then he had to wage war to free some kingdoms. Guru Nanak, who was a self-realized saint, a guru, also gathered an army to fight. Now, being a saint doesn't mean that being very kind in all the situation. The saint applies his discrimination and tries to attune his will to God's will. Now, the true discrimination cannot arise from reasoning or intellect, because our reasoning and intellect are guided by a subconscious mind. True discrimination arises from superconscious mind. Now, the affirmation for practicing discrimination is, resolutely I quell my inclinations, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Now, the word inclinations is very important, because many times our inclinations, again, are guided by a subconscious mind. So our mind will justify our decisions which we make, and it might not be true discrimination. And Swamiji also says that to discriminate clearly, meditate first. Ask God to guide your understanding. In Autobiography of Yogi, Swami Sri Yukteswar, from Sirampur, he would go to visit on Calcutta on some official duty, and he would be scheduled to return in the 9 o'clock train back to Sirampur. That would be the written note Paramhansa Yogananda and his brother disciple would have received. But Paramhansa Yogananda, even then he was called Mukunda, he wouldn't go to railway station to receive Yukteswarji, because he got an message, he got an intuitive feeling or a telepathic message from his guru saying that I will not come in 9 o'clock train, I will come at the reach Sarampur at the 10 o'clock train. But his friend would not, also Yukteswarji would have sent the same message to him also telepathically, but he would not have received the message. He would rather, he would say that I would rather stick to Guru's written message than to the intuitive message you are receiving. But Mukunda, Paramhansa Yogananda then, was able to discriminate that the plans have changed and this is the guidance he is receiving. So he will go to the railway station to receive Yukteswarji at 10 o'clock, and then that's the time Yukteswarji also will come. And Paramhansa Yogananda would say to him that your mind was disturbed by, to his friend, he would say, your mind was disturbed by lot of thoughts, so you couldn't receive the guidance which our Guru had sent you. And Paramhansa Yogananda, since he was attuned and he was always in a meditative state, in a God remembering state, or attuned to his superconscious state, he was able to receive the message. That's why Swami Kriyananda also says to discriminate clearly, meditate first. And by attuning our mind, by attuning ourselves to our superconscious mind, our inclinations will also be in alignment with God's will. And to discriminate really means to attune ourselves to God's will. So let's use the affirmation now to attune ourselves to God's will. Now, repeat after me. First, let's repeat the affirmation in an out louder voice so that it commands the attention of our conscious mind, and then in a whispering voice so that the meaning is observed within the conscious mind, and then in a whispering voice so that the meaning sinks into the subconscious mind, and finally we will affirm mentally only. Sit straight and center yourself, gaze uplifted at the point between the eyebrows, and repeat after me. Resolutely I quell my inclinations, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Resolutely I quell my inclination, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Resolutely I quell my inclinations, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Resolutely I quell my inclinations, to my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Now in a softer voice, resolutely I quell my inclinations, to that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Resolutely I quell my inclinations, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Resolutely I quell my inclinations, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Now in a whisper, resolutely I quell my inclinations, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Resolutely I quell my inclinations, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Resolutely I quell my inclination, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Now mentally only repeat after me. Resolutely I quell my inclinations, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Resolutely I quell my inclinations, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Resolutely I quell my inclinations, that my mind be open to the wisdom guidance of my soul. Now pray after me. Guide me, Lord, that in all things I know thy will. For I know that only by thy will are all things led to perfection. Guide me, Lord, that in all things I know thy will. For I know that only by thy will are all things led to perfection. Take a moment and pray to God that we know His will in all things we do.